Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Erndale's and welcome to Vlogmas Day 7, I think it is. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen today and I think it's about time I did a little bit of baking. But before I do that, I just want to show you this cute little guy here. When my son was 7 years old, he bought this for me for Christmas. And until I had this cookie jar, I never had a Christmas cookie jar. In fact, I don't actually think I even had a cookie jar ever until I got this one. I always just put my cookies in a tin. I had all kinds of Christmas tins and flowery tins and different kinds of things like that. So that's what I always put my cookies in, or into a little Tupperware tub or something like that. But when I got this cookie jar, things changed a lot. And the first thing that changed was we started a family tradition. So the tradition was, and we started this the following year, the tradition became when this first snowfall happened, the cookie jar came out and I filled it with cookies, and the rule was that he was supposed to be full of cookies all the time that he was on the counter. And he stayed on the counter until the last snowfall in spring. Because for me, a snowman is not Christmas, it's winter. I know it's a lot of people use it for Christmas as well, but where I live, you see snowmen all winter long because the children are making snowmen in their yards, and so to me it's more of a winter tradition than it is a Christmas one. So I brought him out in November when we had our first tiny little skip of snow, and I filled him up with cookies, but he's empty. So I have to fill him up again, but I also need to do some Christmas baking. And I had decided this year, I don't know, September-ish, I decided that I was going to make a Christmas cake or a fruit cake, or 2 or 3. And I went and I bought most of the ingredients for the Christmas cake or the fruit cake. And not quite all, there were some things that I couldn't get. And then time went on, things were going on, and I never got it started. And so, because I understand, I've actually never made fruitcake, but I love it. And I guess, you have to make your fruitcake and then it has to kind of cure for weeks. Well, it's far too late for that. And I do have most of the ingredients. So it's been bothering me that I have all this expensive ingredients sitting in my pantry and it's not getting used. So I found a recipe for a fruitcake cookie, and that's what I'm going to make today. So I'm going to get all my ingredients lined up here, and then we are going to make fruitcake cookies. Okay, so first it says a half a cup of raisins and a half a cup of currants or raisins, and I've decided to go with a half a cup of raisins and a half a cup of currants, and 2 cups of candied cut mixed fruit, which I've already measured out and cut up. Wow. There's Chip putting his 2 cents in. And 1 cup of pecans or walnuts. I'm using walnuts, and you have to chop them, and I've done that. And you mix that all up, and then you add a half a cup of flour to that. There's a lot of fruit and nuts for cookies. And what did I say? A half a cup of flour. And you mix that up until everything is coated. What do you say, Chip? Okay, so that looks pretty good. Just set that aside for a second. And now I'm going to measure out the dry ingredients next. That's sort of what I always do. So it calls for 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I should have my glasses on. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Oh, a little more than 1/4. And 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Okay. So I'll set this aside. Get it out of my way. Yeah, I'll just stir this up a little. Eggs. That's what I don't have out here. All right, so now we cream butter and sugar together. Beat in eggs 1 at a time, add vanilla and brandy flavoring. So it's 1/2 cup of butter. This is my mix master. Obviously my butter's a little on the hard side, but it'll be fine. 3/4 cups of white sugar, granulated sugar. I've added the 2 eggs because my beaters are so noisy. I don't want to offend anybody. So I need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I think this one's empty. Okay, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And it says 2 teaspoons of brandy flavoring, which I don't have, but I do have real brandy. So I'm just going to put 1 teaspoon of real brandy in there. And I'm going to mix this up, but I'm going to turn the camera off. Oh, it smells wonderful, you know. So now I'm going to add in the dry ingredients. All right, now you just mix in the fruit. I'm going to take these beaters off. No, don't fall in there. Don't fall in there. I have never had a KitchenAid or a mix master. Never could afford it actually, so I've always just had a handheld mixer, and at this stage of my life, I don't think I need to change that. All right, let's bring our fruit over, and we're going to mix this fruit in. Guess we'll do it a little at a time. There's very little batter to these. I think it's going to be more fruit than anything, which is sort of like fruitcake, isn't it? I don't think there's a lot of batter in fruitcake either. Wow. It is just like fruitcake. Minus the molasses and whatever else. So you bake these in a very slow oven at 325 for 15 to 20 minutes. Oh, hard to turn. Wonder what they're going to taste like. There we go. I'm just going to get my pan ready and then we'll bake some. Okay, so we're just going to drop them, my rounded spoonfuls, on the cookie sheet, a greased cookie sheet. And they will bake for 15 to 20 minutes in a 325-degree oven. And this recipe is from Jean Perret, is it? Company's Coming cookie book. Jean Perret. I actually had found a different one in another book that used rum instead of brandy, and but it was pretty much the same. And I was going to do that one, but it called for shortening, which I did not have. So I thought I did have shortening, but I don't. I have lard. So I decided to try this one instead. But I still have a whole jar of this candied fruit left, so I could try the other one once I get some shortening, I guess. might be making these too big. The next batch I'll make smaller. Okay, I'm popping these in the oven now. And don't forget to put the timer on, Dale. I'll try them for 15 minutes first and see how they go. I got a lot of dishes to do over here. And I think what I'll do is while I'm waiting, I will do some knitting. I'm still not very far with my knitting projects. So I'll come back to you when I take them out of the oven. We'll see what they look like. They're ready. Let's see how they turned out. Ooh, this looks quite nice. So I left them in for 15 minutes and I think they're done just perfectly. 20 minutes they would be overdone, burnt. They have a nice warm look to them. I'm not smelling the brandy like I thought I would. Maybe I should have put 2 teaspoons in, but I think 1 teaspoon's enough. Look nice, don't they? I'll bring you down so you can see them. Ooh, they're hot. Look at that nice looking cookie. Full of nuts and fruit and raisins. So we'll just keep on going until we've got them all done and the cookie jar is full. I might actually put some of these in the freezer and bake some shortbread next. Usually at Christmas time, well, not anymore because we're usually by ourselves at Christmas. Our son lives away from us and he would have to take a train out here. And there's really never enough time for that. So we do our Christmas with him online. But what was I going to say? Oh, used to be. I used to make all kinds of cookies and tarts. I made butter tarts and mincemeat tarts. And I'll still make mincemeat tarts. But so far, I have not been able to find any mincemeat. And I don't make my own mincemeat. I just buy the stuff in the jar, but there has been none anywhere. But it's sort of been a year like that of things just vanishing out of the stores. that you kind of were counting on and they're not there anymore. Mincemeat happens to be one of those things. So I don't know if I'll get to make mincemeat this year. I hope I do, because we do enjoy it. But I always make mincemeat. Excuse me. I always make shortbread. I usually make a ginger cookie. Actually, they're called molasses crumbles. They're better than a ginger cookie, in my opinion. And I make tarts, and I make some squares, and I usually make a cookie that was from my dad's side of the family. My dad's family were from Switzerland, and they made a little cookie. My grandmother made a little cookie, and my great-grandmother, that was called an anise cookie, but it's very, very simple cookie. It's 4 cups of flour, 4 cups of powdered sugar, 4 eggs, and 4 drops of anise oil. And it's a very dry, there's no fat at all in it. And you make rolls, and then you slice them and bake them. And they were sort of growing up, those were our favorite cookies, because they turn out like hard little stones, and you pop them in your cheek and they just sort of melt, and the flavor of licorice is amazing. So I always used to make those too, but I haven't made those in a long, long time. And then I always made nuts and bolts and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not doing any of that, because look at me, I don't need it. My husband, he's a skinny guy, but he loves the cookies. And I try and I'll keep that cookie jar full, but I don't want a lot of baking around. So I bake as we run out, I bake. I'm not gonna fill up the freezer full of stuff, because it's just gonna sit there and tempt me, and I don't need any temptation. So I'm gonna put these in the oven. They smell pretty good. Today's tea is Twinging's Herbal Winter Spice. Create a relaxing moment with a sweet apple flavor and savory cinnamon, cardamom, and clove spices. And I think I'm going to try a cookie. What do you think? I'm going to try that tea. Smells wonderful. Oh, that is good. It has a real apple cinnamon flavor to it. It's like an apple pie in a cup. Oh, it's so good. I might have to get a few more boxes of that. Personally, that's better than any cookie, but I'm going to try a cookie too. I'll take a small one. There you go. Can't taste the brandy, but they are good. I wouldn't say they're anything like a fruitcake, but they certainly are tasty. They have a bit of a crunch to them because you got nuts in there. Actually, a nice Christmas cookie. I think if I made them again, I would add a little bit more spices. To me, that's what they're lacking, is the sort of the spiciness of the fruitcake, or, you know, that fruitcakey flavor. I think I would maybe add a little bit more. I might put some ginger in there. I think might perk it up a little. And maybe another teaspoon of brandy. They're good. So I'm going to sit here now and nibble on my cookie, drink this beautiful tea, get some more knitting done. I'm really behind on my knitting. Thanks for coming, spending the morning in my kitchen with me. How rude. You shouldn't eat and talk. By the way, yesterday, at the end of the thing, I had a cough candy in my mouth. That's why I was talking so stupid. I'd had a choking spell and I had to turn the camera off and I couldn't stop. So I had a cough candy sort of in my cheek and it would work its way down here and then I'd push it back into my cheek. So that's why I was talking so weird. Thank you for joining me. Happy baking, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.